It may be a new year, but let's be honest, the same problems still remain in 2023. Hey, it's Selena, and today I am back with a new YouTube, and I'm in Ealing, Broadway, asking people about the continued strikes happening across the UK, social media personality Andrew Tate, and so many more trending topics. So let's start with Andrew Tate.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna get cancelled, but obviously, I don't think he's serious. But obviously, recently with the whole trafficking thing, I'm kind of seeing that his views. He probably did think those, and it's bad, obviously, like portraying to younger audiences that maybe can be manipulated by this. But
Honestly, I'm very happy he's in prison. I feel like he's poisoned a lot of, especially like teenagers, like boy teenagers. I feel like he's poisoned a lot of them, and it just makes you so angry that like he managed to sort of brainwash them into thinking what he thinks, and now it's like, what do we do with them?
Do you know who Andrew Tate is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't look too happy. What are your thoughts on him?
No words. No, he's awful. He does have some fair points, but a lot of the stuff he says is obviously like, about women. I think that's really bad for like younger audiences.
well, I think he should be allowed. It's still an individual whether
right.
or not to like believe him. Should be maybe like some more guidelines of, because obviously there's an age to be on like TikTok and stuff. So I think once you're like 13, you should be able to know like what's good and bad. But I don't think they should shut him off. Like
Right.
everyone has an opinion still. Like
Yeah.
But I don't think of the few good things he says, you should like be like, oh, maybe he's got a point, because they're quite basic stuff, aren't they? Like,
I think he's interesting. He's
Yeah.
a very cool guy. I think he says some wild things, but I feel like he's got some good intentions to him. Self-help is always a good thing. I don't think that's ever a bad thing. And like, when people say about self-help, and if you was to share that with other people as well, what's the issue?
Do you have any personal worry with the sort of good stuff that he's saying leading into the extreme misogyny that he talks about as well?
I think that it can be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
100%. So I think anything can be misinterpreted and reread in the wrong way. I mean, from personal experience, he's completely changed the way I thought. I'll be honest with you.
Andrew Tate, yeah. I
Yeah?
know Andrew Tate, yeah.
You got a smile on your face.
I mean, at first I was watching the guy and I thought he was just a genuine guy, but I think him and Greta need to get married and live
Yeah?
happily ever
Wow.
after. I think they're both, same characters and they're both scripted. To be honest, I don't like both of them. So
Okay. So like he doesn't actually consider himself as an incel, but obviously we have seen a rise in incel culture. Is it something that you would attribute to him? And is it also something that you're worried about, like on a separate note?
I feel like society today is too polarized,
Right.
and it's not only his fault. He's contributed a lot to that culture for teenage boys, if you know what I mean. And then the rest of the people are influenced by different things. So, for example, like the politics, the newspapers, the media as a whole. So I am worried about the rise of that culture, because I feel like it will, at one point, sort of get too much. There's like a lot of polar opposites in society today, and there isn't a middle ground in which everyone can sort of find compromise.
Why do you think that is?
I would say social media is definitely one of the things. I mean, you've got, for example, Andrew Tate, who's taking part in polarizing people. I think it's mainly the fact that with all the politics going around and these sort of influencers who sort of radicalize people in a way into thinking one way or another. Someone says something that goes against their opinion or their view, and they're immediately branded as like an extremist person, and then it's the same with the other side. So it's like, you're an extremist because you don't agree.
How do we get to a better place of compromise?
I think people just need to relax, to be honest.
Just take a chill pill.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just have a coffee, have a cigarette, have a sit down.
I wanted to ask you about the strikes that are happening at the moment in the UK. How do you feel about them?
I can fully understand why they're occurring, basically.
I mean, I'm kind of against it because it's it's ruining everyone's transport plans and stuff.
Do you feel like the people that are striking should get paid more?
Well, I don't think they should get paid more. They get paid enough. I think who needs to get paid more is probably doctors and nurses. They need to get paid more. But the TfL has been doing a lot of strikes and they've been getting a lot of money. So they're constantly doing more strikes to get even more money.
Do you feel like the government are doing enough to sort of help the situation, especially with like nurses and like paramedics that are striking at the moment?
Definitely not, because it's been going on for a while now. Nothing's changed.
Yeah. What do you think the government can do in this situation?
I'll say a bit more flexibility, and they could sort this. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. They are sort of saying we don't have the money to do it.
Yes, but I think it's costing money anyway. So
And I think the government's been a bit too greedy, and they need to start, emptying their pockets and giving out,
Yeah.
and distributing the wealth fairly.
The workers have their right to strike, and I think they should be striking and demanding for higher pay. But I do think it's a difficult situation for the government as well, like money. But I don't think the Conservatives will ever be able to help us with this, because obviously their ideologies are completely don't really. It's the free market, so they're not really here to help workers.
Former Health Secretary Sajid Javid has suggested that to sort out the backlog of the NHS, we should all start paying £20 for GP appointments and £66 for A&E appointments. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Definitely not. Slippery slope.
Yeah.
Well, it's just bullshit, but I don't know how to say it in appropriate language. That's all. I just think that there's so many useless things that they're spending money on, and they might as well spend it on something that will actually be useful.
I mean, I don't necessarily mind using private firms to clear the backlog, but provided we don't have to pay for it up front. We're already paying taxes. I'm still paying tax, so and that's what we pay them for.
Do you trust the police?
I mean, I trust them, but you can't get hold of the police nowadays. I mean, there's so much crime happening, and I see it left, right, and centre every day, and they don't seem to come on time. And only time they show up is when someone's in a body bag. It all comes down to funding again, and if the police, the nurses, the TFL, if they get funded properly, crimes and all sorts of stuff will be sorted. In the long run.
Yeah.
Well, again, personally, I've had no interactions with them, so I wouldn't really like to say. But certainly, it's a cause of concern what's going on.
It depends. I definitely feel that they're like in any sort of basket, if you like, there's always going to be good apples and rotten apples. You have to be careful about the bad policemen, if you like, police officers have ruined the reputation of the good ones. So it basically makes it really hard for you to know whether you're actually going to get help or not. And I mean, I'm not in a situation where, because I'm a man, so I'm not a woman, so I don't really have the same dangerous risks. Definitely feel that it's really badly mismanaged, and that they are given sometimes too many liberties, and I think there needs to be sort of tougher control on them so that they can actually do a good job.
I think there's also an idea that it's just a few rotten apples in the police system. So some people think it's just a few people. Some people think the whole institution is rotten. Where do you kind of sit on that?
It's not the whole institution, but it's a major part of it.
I don't think the whole institution is rotten, but I think there's a lot more than just a few rotten apples.
The problem is that all these sort of rotten apples, if you want, they're all at the top. I think that's the problem that I have really, is that they're all at the top, sort of mismanaging the good police officers.
I think it's the whole system, and then there's a few good apples, if anything. But
Yeah.
the whole system's definitely corrupt to the root. My mum speaks to me about this a lot. I'm in a privileged position, obviously, to be white and a male, so I can't really see exactly the problems with it, but I know there definitely is.